Good morning, students, and welcome to another online physical science classroom of St. Michael's Academy. Today, I am going to discuss the next portion of matter. So, let's start. Now, you know the structure of atom. Within an atom, at the center of the atom, there is a nucleus where neutron, which is neutral, and positive charge protons are there, and outside the nucleus there are orbits through which electrons are rotating around the nucleus. See the diagram, red color one is nucleus and the blue color one which is rotating through the orbit, this is an electron. Now, don't you think so? You should ask this question. How electron rotates around the nucleus? Electron moves because electron have a lot of energy. Electron is rotate around the nucleus because nucleus have a heavy part and positive charge of the atom. So nucleus is stationary and then electron is light part and negative charge with respect to nucleus and not more energy. So electron move around the nucleus. That means mass of electron is negligible so that it can easily rotate around the nucleus. And the heavy portion of the atom is nucleus because proton and neutrons are there. The strong nuclear force pulls together protons and neutrons in the nucleus. So within the nucleus, strong nuclear force pulls them together. At very small distances only, such as those inside the nucleus, this strong force overcomes the electromagnetic force and prevents the electrical repulsion of protons from blowing the nucleus apart. That means if there are two positive charges within the nucleus or more than two positive charges, that means maybe there will be repulsion, but nuclear attraction force is more than this repulsive force, so that no protons cannot go out from the nucleus. Now another question, why can't electrons orbit the nucleus in circular paths? The electrons are not moving around the nucleus along the circles. Instead, the circles represent energy levels. Always remember this. The electrons on the circle closest to the nucleus have the lowest energy. The 8 electrons on the next circle have a higher energy, and the one on the outer circle has the highest energy. So from nucleus to outside, energy level is changing from lower to higher. Energy level of electron has been seen. Now, what are centripetal and centrifugal forces? This force is applicable in an atom as well as it is applicable when a car is moving in a circular path. You can see in the diagram. So first I am citing this example, then I will explain electron. See the diagram first. First one is centripetal force. See the arrow. It's a perpendicular direction. Arrow is inward. A centripetal force from Latin centrum, that is centered, and peter, to seek, is a force that makes a body follow a curved path. Its direction is always orthogonal to the motion of the body and towards the fixed point of the instantaneous center of curvature of the path. That means it has a tendency to take the thing, that is electron or car, whatever it is, inwards. So you can say centripetal force is defined as the force that is necessary to keep an object moving in a curved path and that is directed inward toward the center of rotation. So this force is applied on a moving electron as same as this card. Now you can see your book diagram. A force is applied on nucleus. This diagram is very important. You have to draw this diagram in your copy. So see, there is centripetal force, an arrow has been given. This inward arrow has been given towards the nucleus. That means this force always attract the electron towards the nucleus. Now the next force, that is centrifugal force. Centrifugal force is a force that arises from the body's inertia and appears to act on a body that is moving in a circular path which is directed away from the center around which the body is moving. Centrifugal force unit is Newton. Here Newton is an unit. The centrifugal force drives the object away from the center. See the first diagram. Here the arrow is outside. So you can say in case of electron also same thing happens. Centrifugal force is defined as the apparent force that is felt by an object moving in a curved path that acts outwardly away from the center of rotation. This force is applied on a moving electron. Hope so you have understood. The differences are very, very important between centripetal and centrifugal force. So try to write down the difference between centripetal and centrifugal force. The electrostatic force or Coulomb force is another force, that is electrostatic force or Coulomb force is also applied on positively charged protons and negatively charged electrons. Now, what are isotopes? Isotopes are variants of a particular chemical element which differ in neutron number and consequently in nucleon number. All isotopes of a given element have the same number of protons but different numbers of neutrons in each atom. You can see isotope one of two or more species of atoms of a chemical element with the same atomic number and position in the periodic table and nearly identical chemical behavior but with different atomic masses and physical properties. See the diagram. Here, three isotopes of hydrogen has been shown. 1H1 hydrogen is called protium, one isotope. 2H1 is called deuterium and 3H1 is called tritium. This 2H1 isotope of hydrogen generally used in case of heavy water. Heavy water formula is capital D2O and normal water formula is H2O. So generally it has been seen that in case of heavy water formula, these 2H1 isotopes are used. Now next one is isotone. Isotone any of two or more species of atoms or nuclei that have the same number of neutrons. Thus chlorine 37 and potassium 39 are isotones because the nucleus of this species of chlorine consists of 17 protons and 20 neutrons, whereas the nucleus of this species of potassium contains 19 protons and 20 neutrons. So you can say atoms having the same number of neutrons but a different number of protons are isotones. Now you can see the diagram. Here oxygen, that is 16O8. Number of proton 8, number of neutron 8. In case of nitrogen 15N7. number of proton is 7 and number of neutron is 8. And in the case of carbon, 14C6, where number of proton is 6 but number of neutron is 8. So in these three cases, number of neutrons are same. So they are a good example of isotone. Now moving forward to the next one, that is isobar. What is an isobar? Isobar in nuclear physics, any member of a group of atomic or nuclear species, all of which have the same mass number, that is, the same total number of protons and neutrons. Thus, chlorine 37 and argon 37 are isobars. So you can say atoms having the same mass number are isobars. You can say that. Now see the diagram. In the first diagram, argon 40Ar18. In the second diagram, potassium 40K19. And in the third diagram, 40 calcium 20. So here mass number is similar. So you can say that these are isobars. And these are the examples of isobar also. Now we are going to discuss about stationary orbits. The electron is able to revolve in certain stable orbits around the nucleus without radiating any energy, contrary to what classical electromagnetism suggests. These stable orbits are called stationary orbits and are attained at certain discrete distances from the nucleus. So you can say in celestial mechanics, the term stationary orbit refers to an orbit around a planet or moon where the orbiting satellite or spacecraft remains orbiting over the same spot on the surface. From the ground, the satellite would appear to be standing still, hovering above the surface in the same spot day after day. Now see, in case of an atom, what are the stationary orbits? Positively charged nucleus at the center of the atom, you can see. After that, K shell or first shell. Next one is L shell, that is second shell. Third one is M shell or M. The fourth one is N shell. So these are, and so on. And these are the stationary orbits. Actually, stationary orbits are orbits where when electrons are rotating throughout that orbit, they can gain energy over there. Okay. Now we are going to talk about principal quantum number. The principal quantum number n describes the energy of an electron and the most probable distance of the electron from the nucleus. In other words, it refers to the size of the orbital and the energy level an electron is placed in. The number of subshells or I describes the shape of the orbital. There is a formula for principal quantum number, that is 2n square. It is in your book, where n is the principal quantum number and 2n square is the formula which decides the maximum number of electron in an orbit. When n is equal to 1 for k, that means this 2n square value will be when n is equal to 1, then 2n square value will be 2. So maximum number of electron that can rotate in k electron, that will be 2. When the value of electron n will be 2, then 2n square value will be 8. That means the maximum number of electron that can rotate in L shell, that will be 2. So like this it will go. So you can say the maximum number of electron that an orbit may have is governed by the formula 2n squared, where n is the orbital number of the orbit or shell and known as principal quantum number. In your book, I have given a table. So there, according to the energy level and shell, maximum number of electron capacity has been given. And in the next table, according to the atom, the electronic distribution has been given according to the shell. This is very important. Please read this properly. In my live class, I am going to ask you about this electronic configuration. If you are not understanding, then you can share your doubts or jot it down for my live class. One more thing is there, that is, there is a similarities and some dissimilarities between atomic structure and a planetary system or solar system. So according to the Bohr or solar system model of matter, every atom consists of a nucleus with a certain number of electrons rotating about the nucleus in their orbits. This is similar to the configuration of a solar system you know better than me from geography. They are also with a large sun in the center and planets rotating in orbits around the sun. And there are some differences or dissimilarities also in between these two structures. For atomic one, more than one electron can rotate in one orbit. But for planetary system, one planet revolves in one orbit. In atomic structure, the attractive force in an atom is a Coulomb attraction always. And for a planetary system, the attractive force in planetary system is gravitational force. For any doubts or queries, please email me at sudeshna1.sma@outlook.com. Or you can ask your queries in my live classes. We also welcome your responses by way of your views and feedback on PPTs or videos at feedback.stmichaelsacademy@gmail.com. So thank you students and have a nice day.